Good morning, dear President, dear colleagues. First of all, I would like to thank the Panhellenic Association in the person of its President, Konstantinos Lorantos, its Secretary General, Ioannis Makrogiannis, and our dear colleague in PGU, Dimitri Georgios, for the kind invitation, and to the whole of the Panhellenic Association for the organization of this symposium. I would also like to, on behalf of the Spanish Council, to convey our strong support to our Greek colleagues, and of course also to convey our availability for what you may need, and also to encourage them to continue showing their professionalism they are showing in this time of crisis. Today I'm going to talk about anti-counterfeiting and the ENVO, the organization I represent on behalf of PGU. I will divide the presentation into 3 parts. First of all, I will talk about the legal framework, Falsified Medicines Directive, and the draft delegated acts that have been just released. And also I will, in third place, I will like to focus on the national implementation. So falsified medicine is a growing problem, as you all know. Falsified medicines have been found either in the legal and in the illegal supply chain. It affects brand and generic medicines, prescription and non-prescription, medicines about lifestyles, and also other medicines like PPIs. So to tackle this problem, the European Council published a new legislation, the Falsified Medicines Directive, in July 2011. This legislation includes a number of measures to prevent the entry of falsified medicine in the legal supply chain, as well as a number of measures that have been just commented by our French colleagues tackling the sales of medicines by internet. This number of measures consist of the placing of safety features in the prescription-only medicines, allowing for the identification and verification of authenticity of individual packs, and providing evidence of anti-tampering. That means that the outer packaging has not been manipulated. It also established the obligation of setting up repository systems that will store the information generated by these safety features. This system will have to be interoperable across the European Union. And also, while the directive mandates the protection of the personal data and the confidentiality of data of commercial interest, it also allowed the use of data by competent authorities. Indeed, the member states may, for the purposes of reimbursement, pharmacovigilance, and pharmacoepidemiology, I hate this word, to use the information of containing the repository system, are also allowed to extend the scope of the placing of these safety features to any medicine subject to prescription, also to extend the scope of the anti-tampering device to practically any medicinal product. And we have some indication that some member states might be already considering extending this scope. This directive needs to be further developed in the delegated acts. A recent draft has already been released recently, mid-August. It is not intended for public consultation, but it is the Commission, the European Commission, was obliged under the Trade World Organization treaties. And I would just go through the core elements, as our Secretary General will talk later about the impact for pharmacies. So the core elements of this draft delegated acts is, first of all, that the composition, the format, and the carrier of the unique identifiers will be fully harmonized. It will be a 2 diagrammatic codes, will be containing, will be based on international standards, and will be containing at least 5 elements: the product code, the serial number, the expiry date, the batch number, and also the reimbursement number, if that exists. It is an end-to-end system. It will have to be an end-to-end system, which comes as no surprise. That means that it will have to be a systematic verification of authenticity of these packs at the point of dispense, supplemented by a risk-based verification by wholesalers. it will have to be, the repository systems will have to be established and managed by stakeholders with supervision of the relevant competent authorities. And this repository system will be governed by non-for-profit organizations. The draft talks about these non-for-profit organizations will have to be created by manufacturers, and the wholesalers and the pharmacies may participate on a voluntary basis and at no cost. Also, in terms of ownership and confidentiality of data, the pharmacies will be the owners and will have full responsibility of the data they generate when they interact with the system. And these legal entities will only be able to access this data if there is a written previous agreement with the data owners, and except for the purposes of investigation of potential incidents of falsification if flagged by, previously by the system, and also except for, needed for the access foreseen for the competent authorities. So these draft delegated acts are expected to be adopted by the end of September, beginning on October, and finally to be published in end of 2015 to beginning 2016. I prefer to take the longest delay because the draft delegation has been delayed already for 3 years. So I try to continue the same. I'm on the same assumptions, and for that, from the moment of the publication, the member states will have a 3 years time to implement, to have the system fully operative in their countries. That means end of 2011, beginning 2019. A exception made for the countries that have already a system in place, such as Greece, Belgium, and Italy, that will have another 6 additional years to implement the system. So we will be talking about till 2024, 2025. So this is a legal obligation, and non-compliance will put patients at risk. So what have the stakeholders done so far? The stakeholders have taken action. They have come to a common vision to protect the supply chain by complying with the Falsified Medicines Directive in an efficient and cost-effective manner. They have decided to be proactive as as market partners, and setting up a stakeholder governed model that is functioning, harmonized, interoperable, and cost-effective. At the technical level, I will be going very quick through this because I believe you already seen these slides. The unique identifiers will take the form of data matrix code developed to ISO standards with at least the 5 elements that I mentioned. It is, as I said, indicated in the draft regulation. This is the diagram explaining the point of dispense verification, where the manufacturers will will produce the code and upload it in the repository system, and to be finally verified upon dispense point, while supplemented by risk-based verification by wholesalers in the case that they don't obtain the medicines directly from the manufacturers or unauthorized wholesalers. And also, well, the draft regulation indicates that wholesalers, national legislation may allow wholesalers to perform verifications, also authentications when they supply to certain organizations and under certain conditions. If this is the overview of the pan-European architecture, being one European hub connecting the national system. This national system might be standalone systems developed by the countries, or can be blueprint systems, which is an off-the-shelf models already designed following the ES stakeholder model, European stakeholder model principles. And The general principle of this system is that it will have to be established and managed by by stakeholders and by no legal profit organization under the supervision of the relevant competent authorities. For this purpose, the ENVO, the European National Medicines Verification, has been founded in February 2015, and national organizations will have to be founded as well. The European level, at the national levels, will be working on the basis of service level agreements that I will try to explain a little bit later. Membership within EMVO is allocated to constituencies, being 5 the founding members, the based research industry, generic industry, pharmacies, wholesalers, parallel distributors, but membership are open to other associations. Indeed, we are holding discussions with EA, HP, and HOPE, European organizations representing hospital pharmacies and hospitals respectively, in order for explore the possibility for them to join the ENVO. At political level, the ES partners have agreed on the 10 core principles, to the principles on which the system will have to be based on. They have signed the Memorandum of Understandings, the statutes of the EMVO, who has allowed finally to establish it at legal level, and we maintain an ongoing dialogue with the European and national European authorities, and also with additional stakeholders, as I mentioned before. In terms of European authorities, we are currently close to the finalization of an agreement with EDQM, the Council of Europe, for providing the service of auditing of the system, which I believe will bring additional trust and added value to the service. And in terms of to plan for the national, in order to talk about the implementation of the system at technical level, we see that 2 milestones have just been achieved. One of them is that the European hub is already fully operational since April 2015. Also that the first national system, SecuFarm, has been successfully connected to the hub in July 2015. These are 2 major steps along the road of securing the legal supply chain, because it shows that the system works. So we are just now trying to incorporate the other national systems, and the first, let's say, blueprint system is expected to be implemented upon the publication of delegated acts in 2016. If we take a closer look at the responsibilities around governance and system management, ENVO would be responsible for establishing, managing, and operating the EU hub, ensuring that the national systems are connected to the hub, for which they will have to conclude agreements with the national medicines verification organizations. They will be responsible also for setting the standards of the system and for managing the national blueprint systems on behalf of the stakeholders, should they wish to. At the National Medicines Verification Organization will be responsible for establishing and managing the national repositories, ensuring the connection of the national repositories and therefore the interoperability with the EU hub, for which, of course, they will have to conclude the agreements with ENVO, and also analyze the exceptional events at national level. In the case of the blueprint system, the governance remains within the national stakeholders. The management is transferred to ENVO on behalf of the respective stakeholders, and the operational level is provided by the IT suppliers, preselected by ENVO. Now the important question: who will pay what? According to the directive, the manufacturers will have to pay for installations of pipe coding, also for the repository systems, the hub and the national systems. And the draft regulation has indicated that these repository systems also include the interfaces, not only the application, the APIs interfaces, but also the graphic user interfaces, which the industry hasn't very much welcomed, because it might imply the management of these accounts. The draft regulation also says that the installations for pack verification will not be paid by the manufacturers, so they will have to be paid by pharmacies and wholesalers, which is something that we already anticipated. So here's what we think is the relevant cost for pharmacies: is scanner adaptation, of course, the software adaptation and workflow adaptation. Anyway, the Secretary General will talk later about cost and will be providing an example, a specific example for Greece. So, what are the action stacks that are needed at national level in order to perform an effective implementation? First of all, conclude an agreement within the between the stakeholders. For this, it needs to be first to be identified the supply chain actors in the country, which might not be always be obvious. Also develop the principles for cooperation, establish the, of course, implementation project, founded the National Medicines Verification Organization, define the technical requirements, checking before the national prerequisite, and also verifying the compliance with the user requirement specification. Select the IT providers. In the case of Blueprint, it will have to be one of the shortlisted by ENVO, and also provide for finding. Not in second place, there will be needed the cooperation with the competent authorities, and for a successful final implementation of the system before 2019. In order to estimate, to accomplish this complex and time-constraining undertaking, it is good to have a view of which would be the time expected to deploy the system. This time ranges between 18 and 24 months. Being 18 a little bit too optimistic, according to the experts. So to tackle this task, ENVO has produced an implementation package which consists, first of all, at administrative level to provide for several templates that mirror the agreements that have been signed on a European level. These templates are for the Memorandum of Understanding and the Status of the National Verification Organization, and also a proposal for the allocation of costs between the brand and generic industry. And also for a technical level, we offer support for the project setup. We also have developed the user requirement specification that will ultimately allow the connection of the national systems to the European hub. And also the national medicines verifications may want to contract the EMVO for the operational management, for the management of the Blueprint on their behalf. And we also offer support for the selection of the system provider in the case also of the Blueprint. For this purpose, we have come to a short list of IT providers with which we have negotiated conditions for the benefit of the national organizations. These conditions are laid down in framework contracts. This creates obligations on the IT providers, as I said, for the benefit of the national organizations. These main benefits are limiting the maximum prices that the providers might seek to charge when negotiating at the national level, and also ensuring that all markets will be served. That means avoiding cherry picking of countries that might look more profitable at when negotiating. Also, it allows for additional functionalities to be negotiated by the IT provider and the national organization. And for this, the ENVO has also offered a template contract between the IT providers and the national organizations. This would be a bilateral contract that needs to be, it's a template model, so it needs to be adapted at national level. It will include the standard clauses, but also, most importantly, it will describe the level of the service, the implementation plan, and the IP rights and data protection and liabilities in case of breach of contracts. Another agreement that will have to take place is the agreement between the EMVO and the national organizations regarding the use of the European HAT. And also, as I mentioned before, the voluntary agreement between EMVOs and national verification organizations regarding the operation of the blueprint system on behalf of the national stakeholders. So now let's take a quick look at which would be the state of negotiations regarding national implementation in the member states. We have, well, this is a work in progress. We are at ENVO level. We are working in collecting in a standardized periodic report all this information. But for the moment, we have to rely on the information that has been communicated to ENVO. So far will be 5 countries that have signed memorandum of understandings. That could be England, Norway, Sweden, Bulgaria, and Austria. And Germany, being the national, has constituted already the national system. But nevertheless, in the majority of the countries, advanced stakeholder discussions are taking place. So let's conclude with what would be the recommended steps for an effective implementation at national level. First of all, build on existing knowledge and experience, develop the principles for cooperation, determine the scope of functionality, whether it will cover more or less than the prescription medicines, evaluate the options for the system, whether you will want to go for a standalone system or a blueprint, develop the implementation plan, plan for budget, and if you wish, ask ENVO for support. Thank you very much.